Hi there. This video is the ongoing video in the series of a book I'm writing, and by right, this video should come out in April, early April, even though I'm recording it now, it's middle of March. And, in my shed, fixing up the bikes for the year. And it's a nice day out, so hence I'm in the shed and I'm using my phone to make the video. So hopefully the voice comes out well, because the voice doesn't always come out well when I'm using this kind of device for the videos. But anyway, the book, we're moving on to the second major part of it. We've dealt with the first part, and the second part, the central character's name is Staffen Blu, and he lives in a country called One State, which is at the other side of the world, France, where book one was mainly based. And he unwittingly, despite living a relatively quiet life and minding his own business and so on, he unwittingly falls afoul of an intelligence officer in One State who doesn't like him at all. And for what reasons, Staffen Blu does not know. And I deliberately left the reasons out because it's kind of like that in the real world. Sometimes people take against you or just don't like you, and you never know why. So I just thought I'd do it like that. And anyway, Staffen Blu unfortunately gets arrested by this intelligence officer in a very rough kind of manner, using a very high-powered taser, electronic taser, that's basically and also doubles up as a drone, and it leaves him quite badly scarred in the side of his face and so on, because you're talking about very powerful laser bolts. And he also leaves him injured, scarred down the side of his face, and damages his hearing somewhat. So, hearing issues do come into the book because of my hearing issues. I just thought I'd write them into the book, because a lot of books don't deal with disabilities to any degree. Sometimes you get glasses and people in wheelchairs and so on. But I thought, I'd just try to give a little bit of publicity to the fact that there are a lot of hidden disabilities in the world and people just don't ever know about them. So hence the hearing problem does show up a couple of times. And anyway, Staffen Blu, he's in custody and he's not having a very good time of it. And he's heavily sedated and mistreated. And it's a number of days in custody before he's released. And when he is released, he has absolutely no memory of anything that happened to him. And they purposely make it like that. Intelligence officers in One State using all kinds of drugs and sedatives and things that they don't wish you to remember anything. And he even signs a statement admitting to guilt to something he didn't do in order to get released, and he doesn't remember that either. And he finds his way back to his apartment. It's a very small apartment he lives in. He did have a job up to the point when he's arrested. Obviously, in this particular One State, once word gets out you've been arrested by the secret police, everything falls apart. His job disappears, and he ends up pretty much broke. And on the basis of all that, he finds his way into an underground movement that's been run by one of his neighbours, in fact, called Thane. And Thane has a partner called Professor or Proff, and she actually is a former teacher in a college. And the two of them, they do their best to stay under the radar, as underground movements do. And they take pity on him. They know the guy anyway. Their neighbours in an apartment block, and they can see he's been badly treated and injured after being arrested, and they know how it works. So they find a doctor that's basically off the books to go and look after him for a few days, and the doctor tells him he's in a real bad mess and he isn't too sure what's going to happen to him. And during all this, the One State police turn up at his apartment again and put a notice on the door, basically warning everybody to stay away from him, kind of scaring people, stuff like that. And in the midst of all that, somehow I decided to invent a notion of kind of a virus running amok. And I just had the idea in my head for years, and it was just a bit of a coincidence. We had the lockdown a few years ago here ourselves. Just a bit of a coincidence because, like I said, this kind of book, the idea of it has been running around in my head for an awful number of years, and I only just started writing it recently. I've got, like I said, mentioned it earlier in a previous video, there's copybooks all over the house with plots, subplots, and characters in it going back, I don't know how many years, to be honest with you, at this stage. 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years or something like that. So it is a very long developing book. And anyway, go back to our anti-hero Staffen Blu being released. He does get released. He does join the underground movement. And unfortunately, things don't always go to, plan. And the underground movement's plan doesn't really work out. And things go from bad to worse. And not wanting to go into too much detail here because I don't want the video getting too long. I don't want to be talking for half an hour about it or anything like that because I don't think anybody, when he watches half-hour videos, certainly not going to watch a half-hour video for me talking away, rambling here. So I tried to keep it to 7 or 8 minutes. And Staffen Blu does survive. He doesn't die or anything like that. Unfortunately, the underground guys next door to him, Thane and Professor, do, even though Steffon never realizes this. He gets a letter from a sympathizer that basically innocently misleads him into thinking they got away from the state and they're okay and things like that. Largely, to give him hope to get away himself. And in the midst of all this, there is also an unexpected background movement separate to the underground movement that are pretty much against the state as well. And there's a number of state members and state party members and military people part of this because they don't like the way their president is running the country, because he's a president for life type of guy, a dictator in any other words. So it is a complex book actually, and it does go on a long time. But hopefully, when I've finished editing it correctly, it will make sense to people because it does bounce around with the subplots. It does bounce around with the characters, and I don't admit it's an easy book to read. It is complex, but that's the way I think to do things. Anyway, I'm nearly done with my time here today. Anyway, and hopefully the video works out all right because I'm only using my mobile phone to record it. I'm only in my shed, like I said. I don't have the computer out here, and hopefully the sound works out all right. So forgive me if it sounds a little bit strange. And anyway, like I said, this video should be aired sometime in early April, and I will do 1 or 2 shorter videos during April to make a few readings from the book and talk about the mindfulness approach again. So, okay, I think I'll go away now with that and leave you all in peace for another while.